Alright, so now I'm on the contour camera. This is the Tough Cut HQ682. Just for testing purposes, what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have put it on the rear of the machine. I have hooked up the hydraulics so that I can show you guys how the foot front works, so that we can take a closer look at the bottom without me having to sit on the floor and be crawling with ants. So, first thing you got to do, you got to take off the cover. And I'll explain the cover here, why it's damaged, and why this one is actually upside down, because this is a new one. So you're going to take this, you're going to lift that up. That side is one thing to talk about, and the vibration. But you need to release this latch right here in order to get this on the ground. So this is what it looks like without the cover on it. What you're going to do is you're going to take this pin out, which I've had to use a different type of pin. This one actually works better than the one that was in it. It's a little bit more fiddly, but that's good because that means it won't fall out like the other one did. With that pin out, you can lift that. This springs back, it goes crazy. This is out of the way so that the cylinder itself can move. And you also need to take out these two pins here, which are your height adjustment, which might actually be too much pressure. Okay, let me get it on the ground. Okay, so now I can take these pins out. So you're going to put these pins into this hole once you stand this thing up. So if this was on the front, you would lift it all the way so it won't go anymore. And then you'll run these hydraulics, but right now they're on the middle one because it's going to move the cylinder. With that cylinder all the way retracted, you can put these pins in. These pins are for safety so that the hydraulics, wherever to fail, it doesn't fall back on top of you. Now that we're done with that, we can turn the engine off. Okay, different camera. The other one's over there in the seat. This is the Tough Cut. This is the HQ682. This is what it looks like when it's folded up. A little bit easier to see with the machine not in the way. The belt itself I have had no issues with so far. It does slip if the blades themselves get locked. I have had this blade come off. So I think what the issue is that this tension spring, which folds over and then goes where this one goes, was actually in the wrong hole to begin with. So it was in the first one. Maybe something somewhere. It was in the lowest hole right here, and like you don't have that much tension on the entire belt system, so it's really easy for the belt to slip on itself. So what I've done is I've actually moved it over to the second one. I'm sorry, you can't see that. I'm trying to work the camera and do this. It's not the best thing ever. I have put it on that one so that when you go over, and even right now, it's got good tension. Like, well, it's hard to see. There you go. So it's got good tension right now. So I put it on the second hole. I think the first one for a brand new belt is probably not the best. So walk around it a little bit. These front wheels I have an issue with because they don't let you get up to certain things, but it does let the machine float a little better. However, back again, these jam nuts. Stop using jam nuts, Ventrac, please. Just put a nylon nut on there. A nylon nut will never fall out. As soon as these locking nuts on the bottom, they have the little grooves cut in them. As soon as they loosen up, they will fall out. If a nylon nut was on there, if it loosened up, it will not fall out. I have both of these missing, no other ones, and I actually tightened up all of these before I even started. I bet if we go through here, we'll probably find some more that are either missing or something. So that's the back of it. The belt has come off because of the damage that I did to that. Both sides. That was my fault. I didn't put the hitch pin back in the correct location for using it. So the whole unit was able to just literally flip up and out, and it was looking like this when I was driving around. I was like, what the heck? I backed up. The whole thing folded up under, crushed the front. Both of them. It actually smashed up against the stump grinder mirror attachments. This is the bottom of it. This has been probably about 25 hours of usage. I haven't been the easiest with it, but then again, when can you be? You know, it's a tough cut. It's gonna go through a whole bunch of different stuff. This blade is a little bent, but I think it might be tightened a little bit too much. The blade has contacted the edge, either that or this has been folded in, definitely folded in. You can see the dent, and it's touched. I'm going to rotate the blade, but you can see how much it would have to come in order to touch. So I think that needs to maybe be a little bit thicker steel. No problems with the greasing, it's super easy. Where is the grease fitting? There it is. Right there. A couple squirts in there before I started using it. There's one on each of them. And you can see which way the belt is supposed to go. If you don't know if one of the blades goes backwards, just grab the blade and see which one goes the opposite way that you turn it. So I know that one on the right side is going in reverse. As far as the leading edge, these weren't sharp to begin with. A little bit of damage, you know, you hit a rock, you hit a pretty big stump, you hit something in the ground, it's going to do a little bit of damage to them, but you can always flip these things around. So, it is what it is. That's your tough cut there. Full of daddy long legs. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This thing sits on the ground, and it's a good place for spiders. The casters are really good. I think I want to try with these off to see what it does. The guide wheels themselves are actually what do most of the weight carrying I have seen. This bolt matches up with the bolt hole I normally use right here and on the other one. So I think the front wheels are on the ground, but they're only rotating because this is at a different height than what this one is. So you can see here, bolt's missing. Bolt's missing. It was never an issue of it coming off because it is bolted to this arm, and this arm itself is bolted on, which is tight. You know, just you need to use nylon nuts, Ventrac, please. Send me your stuff, and I will definitely usage and torture test it. This one here, I don't know what could have gotten in there. Maybe a rock. Would have been the leading edge of that, or the back side of that one. I don't know. That one is kind of dull, but you know, it still has a good bevel on it. There's no sharpness, but it's a blunt object, so that's a chunk of metal. That's a loud noise right there. I'll tell you what. None of the metal is missing. It's just folded back. You like spiders? Here's Tando. What is next? What is next? So the cylinder. Now, often I won't, before I kneel in the ants. Okay. The hydraulic cylinder. It's good to have out in the field, flipping it up, taking a look at the bottom of it. But I honestly don't use it very much. The reason being is before I put the machine down, I will always run it. I'll make sure there's no vibrations, and then I take it off and I put it on the floor. If there's any vibrations while you're running it, you can kind of figure out where they're coming from just by, you know, the sound vibration. So it's a good thing to have because it makes it easy to get underneath there, but I still don't think that would be too hard to lift up this unit just by hand. And then I don't even know how this mechanism looks like without the flip up. Maybe there's just I have no idea. Actually, I don't have any idea how that looks. The overall condition of the belt itself, this is the opposite rotating one. The belt itself looks pretty good. You can actually release the tension here with this little arm, and that puts slack on that one, so you can change that belt. Haven't had to change it. I said 20 some odd hours probably on that one. The main belt, this is the long one. This one is complicated, and as I'm looking, looks like there's some damage to it. I wonder if that's when the belt fell off when the unit wasn't set up right. I might have to get a new one of those. So, how about that? I have done a few modifications. First one being is this nut. If the belt ever comes off, I can take that off and have access to the PTO pulley. I don't need a 3/8 I don't need a 3/8 wrench to get that off now. Alright, I'm going to take one of these out. The issue was happened with the original ones that came is there's a key. There's almost like a loop on the end of it, and what that loop will do is when the machine itself has pressure and no pressure, this pin will actually spin inside the hole. And let's just say if it goes this way and that loop is on the top, and then the loop falls down and touches this, look at this picture right here. And as you keep using it, you can't tell, you can't see this thing. So it'll come up and down, in and out, in and out. This thing comes out, then the pin will actually come out of the hole, which is this one, and the pin will literally fall. It'll fall on the ground and you will never see it again because you don't know when it fell off. So I've put these on here. These are actually really nice. These are just regular ball bearing detent pins, and I put these spring-loaded clips in there. So when I put that in, it will spin, but this part will never fall down. So if you imagine that it was in the hole and halfway across the yard, if you will imagine that this was in the hole and just kind of sliding up and down, there's no way this pin can ever fall out and get caught underneath here. If it gets caught underneath there, the pin's already fallen out. If it gets caught underneath there, the pin is literally already fallen out. So, but this one in here, this has room to go up and down, or if you're in the offset hole, it'll come up and down here. So this probably needs to be the design of the pin. I couldn't see anywhere in the book where it said it had to go this way, because the other issue is when it's this way, it's too long. This is the same size pin as the other one that I took out. So let's say even if it's that far away, it's going to touch right there. And this arm itself comes up and down when the machine is lifting it and lowering it, and and the machine itself is on any sort of undulation. Well, that's a cool looking bug. Look at that one. I don't know what that is. But I would change that. I would change this pin. And also put nylon nuts on everything. There's no reason to not use them. I think those nuts probably cost about the same. This support spreader bar beam thing, whatever this is, if you're using this in some sort of heavy vegetation and you're driving backwards, what'll happen is debris will come up from the bottom, get on this, and if you go to back up, this thing will bend. This thing is bent half of the times I've used it. And what I've had to do is actually lift the Tough Cut up in order to go in reverse. Yeah, obviously, because the bottom of it looks like a scoop, just a shovel, it'll pick up anything. So anything that comes up in this area just gets in the way of the belt, gets in the way of that bar. I don't know what it's there for, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe this is a different size. Oh, actually, so this is the adjustment hole so that you can get even more play out of the pulley system, the tension. I don't know how that will work. Because if this part is bolted to this one, these will not change. So the distance between the hitch arm locks and the hitch arm locks will not change. I don't know how this is... Oh, never mind. I answered my own question. You take the pulley off and move it forward or back, and then you have the spring tension for the rest of this. One last thing, the belt here, whenever you're done with it and you put it on there, like, this is a normal usage of the belt. I think this little thing might need to have some sort of a hook, because as soon as you take this off and drive it away, I mean, that's nothing. If the wind blows too hard, like that's coming off. So just a little lip, just pop, then it can't fall off. But you still have enough slack whenever you take this off, you know, to put it on the machine like normal. There needs to be a little hook there. For the 4520, I'm not sure. These holes probably need to be bigger. The hydraulic hoses themselves, they will fit in here, but they're not secure. I would put them further up. I would make them a little bigger so that you can actually put the shoulder of the hydraulic fitting inside of it so it can't fall back out. With the hydraulics for the flip-up kit being stored, you can't put these any further because of the plate. However, the hole needs to be bigger, I think, so that the shoulder can go past the coupler. It'll be locked in there a little better because it doesn't take much for these things to flop out. Okay, back on the other camera. I took this one out from before. I'm going to put it back in. Actually, I'm going to take the other one out because I'm going to fold this back down. I'm going to try to do it so that you can see how that cylinder extends over there, and you can see how the whole mechanism moves. And then I will put the the hydraulics in different positions so that you can see the different bolt holes and how they affect the height, the right height of the blades. So let's start the engine. Choke, throttle, or ignition. Sorry, throttle. Wow. Good to go. As soon as it kicks over, still warm from when I started it earlier. Okay, so normally on the front itself, you would use this lever back and forth, which will activate the red and the white, not the red and white, red and yellow. Right now I have it on the middle one. So when I move the middle one, the cylinder itself will move in and out. You're gonna want to take this pin out. It's very important to make sure, because it's not done right there. When you go to try to put this arm back over, it's not going to work. You need to extend that cylinder even further. Now we're locked in. You got to make sure you put your pin back in, which I have here. Like I said, I've got this one here. This is a positive lock, so if I put it in, it ain't coming out. And I'll show you from the other side. So here we are on the other side. Put that down. I'll put this one in. Might have to line it up a little. I'll make sure it's good. There's tension. That will never come out. Now, as far as using it, we have a couple of different options here. You can put it into one of these holes, which is your normal working height, or the bottom one if you're going to take this on and off of the front hitch. For what we're doing, we're just going to put it in the normal holes I use it whenever I'm cutting. Then when you lower it on the ground, right there, that's in float. So you can see here that I said before, this can spin literally all day. This will never touch that. It physically can't. Same thing with the other side, but this side is no problem. So this damage that you see here was from the original pin that had the key ring on it, and basically the whole pin was like that. And then when you lift this up, I'll show you. When you lift this up and it goes up and down and over undulations, you can see how that can damage it. So I'm actually going to take these out. And I'm actually going to put them in the bottom holes. So on the front of the machine, it's a little bit different because of the way the fulcrum is. If I bring this down and I extend this, it would be like lowering the hitch arms. And then you need to put this one in the bottom hole. What that will do what that'll do is that'll let the hitch arms actually be elevated. So now that they're elevated, they're actually horizontal with the rest of the machine. So if I make the 3-point horizontal, when I go to set this down, this is the angle of the arms that are normally on the machine whenever you're attaching and detaching. So the bottom of this is actually resting on that pin. On the other side, it's doing it more. But this is the angle that it needs to be in order for you to take the attachment on and off of the front of the machine. Alright, so let's talk about the damage to the cover. When this thing folded up on itself, the entire front of the machine basically lifted up like that and was pushing against the front stump grinder mounting bracket, the mirror mounting bracket. I did my best to straighten it. I mean, it works. These brackets are bent. Those are bent. They don't do anything now. That button was, no wait, what side of the machine am I on? This side. This side strap broke. So this is a really hard rubber. This is not the original, because the original one is here, and you can see. Okay, sorry about that. So this mount, this is the original, super squishy, but this one snapped in half. I put this one on there, which looks almost identical, but it's really hard. That's actually a replacement Yeti cooler strap. So if you break one, it'll come with this, it'll come with this bracket, you'll be good to go. What I failed to do whenever I put the Tough Cut on for the first time is I did not go from G to one of the other pinholes. What this did is this allowed the arms to physically lift all the way up. So if this is terrible, I don't want to do it on the machine because it'll break it. If the arms can keep coming up, there's nothing to stop it from coming back. And what that does is it pushes against the front of the machine. You damage this whole bit here, like this has got a good bend in it too. You can, it just, I broke it. All right, I broke it. Don't do that. So put it on and off the machine on G, and put it back into one of the other holes. Doesn't matter which one. Whenever you're going to use the machine. Don't do what I did and ruin a completely good cover in 5 minutes of using it. But let's put it back on the machine. It's pretty simple. One side of it has a pin, which, look at that. I put a nylon nut on it because the pin was loose and missing. Actually, it fell out. Good thing it was in the garage. But if you pick this thing up and slide it in over on the pin on the left, and get it ready for the one on the right, this is spring loaded. This will allow you to move it over. Slide this on, kind of lift it a little, jiggle it, it's locked. So now the cover will rest on these rubber stops, good to go. And then once you've put your belt tension back on like I just did, you can cover it. Put the latch on, that's the broken one. And put that latch on, and you're ready to go. Put it back on the front of the machine, hook up your belt, and then go clear that. To engage and disengage the hitch arm locks, which are right here, and the opposite side of that. You lift up this lever, and then you pull the handle back. And what that does is unlock them. Now whenever you back up out of it, the arms, if they're at the correct level, should slide right out of there.
Now you guys are upside down. You want to see a cool thing about this camera? Rotates.